Welcome to my presentation for Lib 130. The topic for today is the Delphic Oracle. Today's topics we're going to be covering are an overview of the Delphic Oracle, the ancient significance of the Oracle, how the Oracle worked and functioned, the Pythia and the influence that she had, and the examples of answers given by the Pythia, as well as modern science and geology, and the works cited. As for the overview, the Delphic Oracle was established in 775 BC and was used as a means to gain knowledge of the future, as well as provide counsel for political leaders. The last prophecy was given around 393 AD after Roman Emperor Theodosius ordered closure of all pagan sanctuaries in Greece. The oracle at Delphi was also a key part of early Greek history and functioned as a common meeting place for Greek city-states, as well as a religious ratification for the decisions made by cities within city-states. The Pythia, Apollo's chosen priestess, provided counsel and prophecies for those who inquired. The oracle is located inside the temple of Apollo and was established there as a result of the tale of Apollo killing Python at Delphi. For that tale, Apollo is the son of Leto and Zeus. Hera got mad at Leto for having a kid with Zeus, and so Hera shunned Leto, and she sent a serpent called Python to kill Leto. Apollo then killed the Python at Delphi, and so a temple was established there in his honor. And the ancient significance of the Delphic Oracle. Ancient Greek cities were highly disunited and were organized into city-states that were often at war with one another. However, there still needed to be decisions made on important topics concerning joint enterprises, colonization, and war. Despite each people largely being loyal to their specific city-states, there was still enough of a sense of unity as Greeks that a common center could emerge. The Oracle of Apollo at Delphi became a center of religious and political arrangements as a result. Delphi's influence generally came in the form of providing a neutral ground for political conversation, as well as encouraging moderate thinking in decision-making. The oracle's greatest influence came during the first few centuries of Delphi's existence, as many of the political problems of that time dealt with creating law codes and establishing colonies. As you can see from the image, Delphi is located in the center of the left side of the map, and that made it convenient for many of the nations to just travel to one relatively central location. How the oracle worked. There were many oracles in ancient Greece, but Delphi was by far the most famous. For the most part, only the rich and powerful were able to consult the oracle at Delphi, as there were a significant amount of expensive sacrifices required to simply enter the temple. The process of inquiring of the Pythia, the oracle, was a complicated and time-consuming one, sometimes taking a whole day. There was usually a waiting period as well, as the oracle was only open on specific days of the year. The process of inquiry began with the priestess performing a variety of purifying rituals, such as washing in a nearby spring, burning laurel leaves, and drinking holy water. A goat was then sacrificed, all before the inquirer could even enter the inner temple. In order to enter the inner temple, where the Pythia was located, the inquirer would then offer a palanos, which is a sort of cake or pie. The priestess would then give her counsel in a drug or natural gas-induced state. The oracle's language was often obscure and indirect, exhibiting the gap of knowledge and language between the gods and mortals. The Pythia. Pythia was a highly regarded, well-known priestess who held a position at Pytho, a sanctuary dedicated to the Greek god Apollo. The Pythias generally came from relatively well-off families, and it was very important that they were in good moral standing. She was believed to channel prophecies from Apollo himself, as the gases emerging from a crevice in the floor were believed to be a direct link to Apollo. Generally, only one Pythia held office at a time. New Pythiae were chosen from the priestesses of the Temple of Delphi once the previous Pythia had passed away. Sometimes they even had up to 3 Pythiae at one time, at the time of the Delphic oracle's greatest popularity. Pythiae were often educated, well-read, and came from higher-class families, and had to give up all family duties in order to perform their role as Pythiae. Examples of answers from the oracle. In Oedipus the King, the prophecy given by the oracle served as the primary motivation for many of the characters' actions. Oedipus is told that he will murder his father and marry his mother. We'll see how this plays out when we read the book here in a few weeks. Croesus, the king of Lydia, tested a variety of oracles and sent ambassadors to Delphi to see if the Pythia could predict what Croesus was doing on that day. Of all of the oracles that Croesus had sent his men to, the Pythia was one of the only ones to perform the task challenged with, and they were correct, causing Croesus to have immense trust for the Pythia and for the oracle at Delphi. Croesus later asked for the oracle's assistance concerning whether or not he should pursue his campaign or seek an alliance. The Pythia responded, stating that if Croesus attacked, he would destroy a great empire. In the end, the destroyed powerful empire spoken of in the prophecy was Croesus's own. It's one of the more famous stories, one of the more famous tales and times that the oracle spoke. Modern science and geology as it relates to the Delphic oracle. Plutarch, the temple's high priest at the time, had explained that Pythia's trance state was caused from the gases emitted from the floor. Other authorities also stated that the oracle's power was due to geological features. Centuries later, French archaeologists failed to find a fault line, and they wrote off the idea of intoxicating vapors as the source of the Pythia's revelations. In addition, other misconceptions, including that vapors and gases could only be produced from volcanic activity, further discouraged searching for more evidence. And on the right is a picture of Plutarch. Scientists, including J.Z. de Boer, pictured on the right, have since revisited the oracle and have successfully identified young faults at the oracle site and pinpointed the emissions responsible for the Pythia's trance state. De Boer and his team found ethane, methane, and ethylene in the water near the site of the oracle. Ethylene specifically is the most important, as it had been used as an anesthesia and has narcotic effects that are very similar to those described by the Plutarch. And these are my works cited. If there are any questions, I'll answer those in a minute. Thank you for listening to my presentation. Hope you enjoyed it. Have a good day.